Hello everybody, and welcome to the first ever episode of Whose Riff Is It Anyway? Our new game show here on Endless, which is replacing the previous show, which was called Riff Battles. First up, I'm your host Ecolox, Matt, and we're starting fresh. We're starting fresh with a new game show. Now that doesn't mean that Riff Battles are over completely. In fact, we're actually going to start with the Riff Battle as our first game today, but we'll have more games that will be happening tonight. 2 contestants who are going to play all of them, and there's going to be a lot of participation from you, the viewers. So again, welcome to Whose Riff Is It Anyway, the new game show. We're tossing everything out that came before. No funny intro right now, no funny memes, no in-jokes from before. The beard is gone, everything is new and fresh, and we're hoping to keep it fresh today. So let's actually take a look at our first game and our 2 contestants for tonight. And as I said, we're going to start with a classic riff battle. And in fact, we're going to start with a riff battle between mlilley, or Michael Lilly, mlilley 2002, 2002, and David dorolfe from Florida. So mlilley from London, dorolfe from Florida. Let's actually listen in because they both prepared somewhat of a theme song for us. So our theme song is probably a stretch, but they both gave us a little bit of a music bed for their introduction. So again, on the left we got mlilley. I think going vanilla endless today. No funny external gear, no nothing, just endless. No, all of that, just that. Yeah. Oh, there is some involvement. In fact, okay, that's exciting. Okay, we're gonna have some sick external stuff happening today. On the left here, mlilley, and on the right we got dorolfe, David. I'm probably gonna refer to him as David today, so do not be surprised. dorolfe, David from Florida, who has provided us with a music bed that's completely gated. All layers are gated, and I know some people in our community are gonna love that, and some are gonna hate it. But that's our theme song. Now, our battle is gonna take place in based on one of these 2 riffs, and the question is, which one are we gonna start on? And that's what we got our randomizer for. So let's see which jam we're gonna start this one in. And it's David's jam. So we're gonna start on the dorolfe jam, which means mlilley, you are going to join his jam. And then from there on, we're gonna kick it off. Now, while he's doing that, I'm gonna ask David the age-old question. Is it gonna be heads or tails? Because we still need to decide who actually starts. Sounds like heads to me. Okay, so put in the coin cost cam, because we didn't get rid of the coin cost cam, even though this is a completely new show, doesn't have anything to do with riff battles. We're still doing the coin costs, and so here we go. It was heads for David, and it is heads, in fact, if the camera decides to actually focus on that. We're running into a little bit of a connection issue right now. I know that we just dropped some frames, sorry about that, but I think we're back in the green now. So, which actually means that David is gonna start. Just gonna make sure. mlilley, you have arrived in the recipe dorolfe jam. Wonderful. All right. Okay. So, classic riff battles with viewer participation. What's gonna happen now? They're gonna take turns of 1 minute and 30 seconds each for the first 2 rounds. Just gonna jam with and somewhat against each other, but let's be honest, with each other. In the 3rd round, they're gonna start jamming together, and then while that's happening, you are gonna vote on a challenge for those 2. Okay. So. We are in the dorolfe jam. David dorolfe is gonna start us off. I'm gonna put 1 minute and 30 seconds on the clock for David. Have fun, you guys. And we're kicking this off in 3, 2, 1, go. 1 minute and 30 seconds for him. And we can see he's already piping in stuff that he's got running in Ableton live. Now, for those of you unfamiliar with Endless, we are not hearing any live audio from them. They're jamming together on the Endless app, and that means they can play around, they can try things out until they actually commit to the loop and put it in the jam. So we can see him here adding some bass. Decided not to go for what he wanted to feed in through Endless, through Ableton Live, in fact. And if you do want to play, then you can sign up for the upcoming battles. Ooh, we're having a little bit of an audio dropout. What's happening? Come on. Okay. Let me make sure I can... Oh, there we go. Okay. 15 seconds are up, so it's over to mlilley. Totally forgot to put the riffs on screen, so we can actually see who's adding what. What is he gonna add to this riff? All the while, David taking a break. Actually, looks like he's commenting on the Twitch chat. Ooh. 20 seconds remaining for mlilley. And soon enough it's back over. Back over to Florida with David. He's taking over from here. Looks like we're getting some more drums. But so far we haven't heard any drastic changes in this riff. But sooner or later one of them is gonna crash the party. And in fact, if you're looking forward to some tempo trolling, I'll let you know that there's a game coming up which is all about tempo trolling, and it's gonna involve all of you. Really nice and laid back jam here. Nothing too drastic yet. And he's already switched back because time is up for him. So it's back over to mlilley in London. Oops. in some percussion. From what seems like a different app, which means there's definitely no quantize on this. Just a reminder, there's basically only one rule in this battle, which is they can't go back to a previous riff. So there's, if you will, there is no undo. But other than that, it's all fair game. Now in 10 seconds, they're gonna start jamming together, and it's about then when I'm gonna put the vote on screen for the challenge. And time is up, but now both of them can jam together for 3 minutes. They can work together, or they can decide to crash each other's party. And while that is happening, I'm gonna put a vote on screen. So you can now pick a challenge for them for the upcoming round, for the next 3 minutes basically. Do you want them to use effects only and add no new sounds? Then vote with the number 1. Just put a number 1 in chat. Number 2, if you want them to set the time signature to 7/4. And 3, if you want them to turn quantize off. Just the number 1, 2, or 3 in chat. And you can influence the challenge. We're getting the first key measure today. Lots of votes coming in. No clear winner so far. And as always, if there is a draw, I'm gonna pick the worst option. Challenge winner's a bit small. Let me resize that for you then. There we go. One minute remaining, but I'll stop the vote at 30 seconds remaining so that they have some time to adjust and mentally prepare for the challenge. But it looks like right now we're switching to 7/4 time signature. And it looks like everyone in chat has voted, in fact. Sounds like one of them already has quantize turned off. Okay, and the poll is over, so the challenge is going to be set the time signature to 7/4. That's gonna be our challenge. I'll now remove the voting window. Alright, now I'm gonna ask one of you to set the time signature to 7/4, because if I do so, our overlay graphics are gonna be ruined, and I can already see David dialing it in there. And once it's re-riffed to 7/4, that's when we're gonna start the next round. So 3 minutes in 7/4, and oh, also changed the BPM, so we got our first tempo troll of the night. After these 2 minutes and 20 seconds, they are allowed to change back to a more manageable time signature. Oh, I mean, they can stay in 7/4. I mean, technically, after that, any one of them could change it to 11/4 if they wanted to. Really, really wanted to. But once again, we have a game called Tempo Troll, which we're gonna play in a little bit. It does look like there's lots of Max for Life going on. We've had some tinkering on the Discord server today. If you're an instrumentalist, if you play your guitar for example, and you want to trigger the looper in Endless with your feet, well, that is apparently now possible. Our resident genius Loop figured it out. There's a tutorial on the Discord. So yeah, even though we still have to wait a little bit for the desktop version of Endless, there's already so much you can do with the app right now. Gonna spend 1 more minute in 7-4 land. Ooh, it sounds almost microtonal. Feeder in chat asking for that bass. Will one of them provide that bass? Looks like Dorolfe is on the job. And you can actually use that time because in 10 seconds it's back to only Dorolfe for the last round of this battle. Time's up for the joint challenge round, which means it's back to Florida. David jamming solo, and free choice of time signature. You don't have to stay in 7-4 forever. I think this satisfies the bass request we had earlier. Still a very cooperative jam. Very few drastic changes. Any trolls. Oh! I say that. And he bumps up the tempo, but it doesn't look like mlilley is actually opposed to that. We're now sitting at 170 BPM. With some halftime beats. Seconds, his turn is gonna end. Last round of this opening battle. And for the last round, for the last turn, it's back over to mlilley in London. For those of you tuning in right now, this is the opening battle of basically the first game for tonight on Whose Riff Is It Anyway, our new game show. Right now we're in the 5th round of this battle. 40 more seconds for mlilley to take this jam wherever he wants. After that we're going to take a quick break before moving on to the next game. Seconds. And this marks the end of our first game tonight. Time is at 0. Big round of applause for these two. Very technical jam, very cooperative jam. Taking us to various places, all very listenable, even though they had to work in 7/4 at some point in the middle there. So that was our first game for tonight, the 1v1 Rifff battle, the classic Rifff battle as you know it and love it. However, as I told you earlier, this is not the Rifff battles jam anymore, or not exclusively. This is Whose Riff Is It Anyway, which means we're gonna play several more games after a short break. And now we're gonna start with our second game for tonight, which is called Unsmoosh That Riff. Oh, that's interesting. I'm on delay on this is Streamception. So, what you are hearing right now is a riff that we've prepared, and this riff is fully smooshed, which means, as you can actually see back there in dorolfe's stream, it's a fully merged riff. You don't have access to the individual layers of that riff. You can basically just hear the end product. And their task is now going to be, in the next 10 minutes, to basically disassemble that riff and recreate it one by one, which is why it's called Unsmoosh That Riff. Now, we've actually done a trial run. We did a practice round of this yesterday and figured out that it's actually really, really hard to do. So I made them a new one, which is hopefully not as challenging as the one that I provided them with yesterday, but it's still gonna be a challenge. So the riff that you hear right now, they've been only listening to it for the last 2 minutes. They didn't have access to this riff beforehand. So now I'm gonna put 10 minutes on the clock, and we're gonna switch between them every once in a while and see what they actually are, how far they've gotten, where they are. They're gonna tackle it in different orders. So we're gonna have 10 minutes on the clock in 3, 2, 1. Unsmoosh that riff. Oh, hang on. No, actually, sorry. Wrong timer. I got the wrong timer on screen. That was the 7-minute timer. Sorry, guys. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Unsmoosh that riff. 10 minutes on the clock. So we're right now listening to. Let me get the frame on screen. We're right now listening to mlilley's attempt, or mlilley's jam. But we can, at any time, for example, switch over to dorolfe, who informed me earlier that he's developed this technique where he low passes the whole riff to isolate some of the elements and have it, like, get some better audio on the low end there for the bass. By the way, the riff is only made with core sounds. We didn't use any of the infinite sound packs and none of the infinite effects. In fact, most of these layers that you're hearing are pretty vanilla, in fact. Let's switch over to mlilley. So he's still got the original riff playing, but he's already added some drums. So I can inform you that the riff is made up of 6 layers. No, in fact it's 7. It's 7 layers. Let's see if they can figure out the 7 layers. Okay, mlilley has now dropped the original riff. Let's see what dorolfe is doing. Looks like he's working on the kick drum pattern right now. And as I said, we've figured out that this is actually a really, really hard thing to do. When I came up with this game, I thought, oh, it's gonna take like 5 minutes. And then it didn't. So obviously by the end of this, they're gonna have to drop the original riff completely, and then we're gonna switch back and forth to compare. Still working with his filtering technique. Let's check in with mlilley. Sounds like he's got the hi-hats working. And And he's working at slightly lower volume. And also, if you now watching this and thinking, I could do this in 3 minutes, after the stream, I'm gonna post this smooshed riff to our new Rifff page in the app. And then you can hit the remix button in there, because we got this new thing. If you don't have that in your app right now, do make sure that you update on the App Store, because we got a new Rifff feed that everybody can post to and remix from. So I'm gonna throw it up there and you can take the challenge yourself and try to unsmoosh that riff. Check in with dorolfe. You still got the original one running there. Working on that bass line, seems like. Now, obviously, in this challenge, it helps having a musical ear. We didn't do any chords or anything. I mean, at some point, we're gonna have some music professionals on here who are gonna be all over this challenge with their perfect pitch and everything. Let's check in with mlilley. He's got a bass in. Certainly in a higher octave than the original. But I don't want to give any tips in case they're actually listening to the stream audio. For those joining now, welcome to Whose Riff Is It Anyway? We're in the middle of the second game, Unsmoosh That Riff. We started with a fully smooshed riff and they're now trying to recreate it layer by layer. On the right we can see dorolfe switching back and forth between the original and his current version. What is also interesting, so dorolfe is right now on his 5th riff, or actually on his 4th, if you don't count the original one, while mlilley is on his, oh, he just added one, he's on his 6th, not in his 9th riff. And we got some clun. Think. Yeah, that's original clun by mlilley. He's found the clun melody. Let's check in with dorolfe, find out if he's got the clun. Hasn't arrived at the clun yet. But looks like he's found the bass line. For that bass line. Obviously, we couldn't leave out the clun. But I'm also wondering, and I'm also wondering what you think about this, does it make it more difficult that the riff is actually in 6/4 or 3/4, however you want to count it, instead of a 4/4 riff? Because it does make it a little bit shorter. It's also only a 1-bar loop. Practice riff I gave them was like 4 bars long. Let's check in with mlilley. Oh, he's just re-riffed the original one, probably to be able to switch back and forth. Let's go back one step. And just for comparison, here's the original. And this is where mlilley is right now. Sounds like mlilley just found the bumper. This Let's check in with dorolfe. He's adding some sweeps to the bass. But the original bass is still underneath, so it sounds a little bit chaotic right now. But obviously he's gonna remove that later. Let's check in with mlilley. Wait for dorolfe to tidy up his mix. Up. So again, if you think that this is an easy challenge, you'll be able to tackle this smooshed riff after the stream. I'm gonna post it to the Rifff feed. So yesterday on the practice riff, I remember both of them getting pretty close, but that also took like half an hour. But I mean, this game is fun because it is challenging. I'm not expecting a perfect recreation, but if you ever manage to do that, I'm gonna call you a psychic. 1 minute remaining. Let's check in with dorolfe. Has he cleaned up his low hand? I would say there's some reharmonization going on. So this is the riff that he made earlier, where he high-passed everything in order to figure out what's going on in the high end. And time is up, so fingers off your iPads or iPhones. Now is the time to compare. So right now I'm on dorolfe's audio, so we're gonna compare from here. This is the original riff that we're hearing right now. And this is dorolfe's version. Original and dorolfe's rendition. Next up, let's compare mlilley. First up, this is the original again. And here's the mlilley recreation. The original and the recreation. I would say that's very close. I'll put a poll up. In fact, I am gonna do that. I just need to figure out to show it, but actually there is a poll going on now, which is the question, who got closer? 1 for mlilley, 2 for dorolfe. Let me give you dorolfe's version again. Now I just need to figure out how to put this thing on screen again. There we go. And just for comparison again, here's the original. mlilley's version. And dorolfe's version. Looks like mlilley could use his speed a little bit more to get more of the layers in there. But I think both are fantastically close. And again, as I said, this is a really, really hard game. So I think the vote can be closed at this point. Really, really hard game, very challenging. Again, I'm gonna post this riff to the Rifff feed after the stream, maybe even in this break, and you can try it yourself then. But that was our second game. Let me go back to the studio. That was our second game for the night, Unsmoosh That Riff. We're gonna continue after a small break with the next game, which is Tempo Troll, which is also gonna involve you guys, because you will be able to tempo troll our 2 contestants. And after that, our 4th game, again, that's gonna be Rifff Recipe. And in Rifff Recipe, they can use, or must use, some of your sounds that you put in the ingredients jam on the join-in page. So I'm gonna switch to a short commercial break. See you in a few minutes. All right, welcome back to the studio. So next game is gonna be Tempo Troll. And the idea of Tempo Troll is going to be our 2 contestants are going to jam together. They're going to try to produce the best jam they can, the best music that they can, while you in the chat are going to Tempo Troll them and keep switching around the BPM at a pace of like 1 minute or 1 minute and 30 seconds each. So let's switch to our Tempo Troll screen. As you can see, the BPM is actually visible on top. And yeah, every once in a while, actually I need to check. Oh, okay, there's some weird stuff happening with my... Okay, I'm gonna figure out while the game is happening. We got some weird cropping going on, but that doesn't matter too much. So, we're gonna start into Tempo Troll any second now. I'm gonna put 10 minutes on screen. Again, they're gonna jam their heart out while you guys are Tempo Trolling them. We're starting at approximately 170 BPM, which is actually very fast already, but let's see if we can go faster. Here we go, 3, 2, 1. Jam that tempo. Oops. Yeah, there we go. So while they are jamming, while they're both getting into it, I'm gonna start the first poll. And don't worry, I'm gonna resize it in a second. Make sure it's nice and readable. We're gonna start things off not too drastically. You have a choice between 200, 180. Just put the number 1, 2, or 3 in chat to vote for your BPM. And I'll always close the voting approximately after 1 minute. And then move on to the next one. Looks like you guys are going in for the kill immediately. You want this to go down to 80. Now the main thing is gonna be, we're working with proper BPM here, which means they're not gonna be in key necessarily. This adds to the challenge. Okay, I think it's pretty clear we're going down to 80. So let's close that poll here. And I'm now gonna troll them. Ooh. And we're now down to 80. Starting back up with the next poll. We can tempo troll them again in a minute. So yeah, the challenge also includes the fact that by changing BPM that way, they're not gonna land perfectly in a key. So they have to use their tune knobs. Don't ask me what a tune knob is. It's probably not something that we are allowed to talk about on this stream on Twitch. Real dissonant already. Looks like you want them to go even slower. Alright, we can do this. We can do this, 60 BPM it is. we're down to 60. The tempo trolls are coming in hard. Look at how mean you can get, how mean you can be to these two. Yeah, they were just getting used to the 80. Taking out the previous layers in hopes to stay in key this time around. You do know that after 30 there's no way to go slower than that, right? But it looks like you want to go down to 30. Well, 30 it is then. Coming right up. At least this one is only... There we go. mlilley's liking that. At least that's just one octave below. They're also in 8/4, which means now even just one bar is really, really long. It's a really long time. Now I lied when I said that we can't go lower than 30. We can in fact go lower to 25, but I don't think the difference is gonna be that big. So here are your three options, 25, 120 and 200. Ooh. This is the battle of the sensible tempo troll versus the bad tempo troll. I get a feeling the bad tempo troll is gonna win on this one. Yep, looks like we're gonna be back to 200. By the way, they don't know which BPM we're picking for them. They're riffing quicker. They're riffing quicker than I can adjust the BPM. Ah. Okay, we're taking auto play off. We're ruining the overlay just to make sure that we get to 200. And this is what they'll have to deal with now. That was worth it to ruin the overlay with. While that's happening, let me get the next poll on screen. Oh, this is gonna be an interesting choice. At this high of a tempo, even quantize can't save you anymore. Okay, you want 300? I can give you 300 immediately. Last one. This is gonna be a quick one. We only have 30 seconds so that they can jam in this tempo for 30 seconds. Yeah, you can almost feel bad for them for having to deal with this excessive tempo trolling, but then again, it's you guys doing the tempo trolling. Oh, this is a close battle. I think we'll go into a little bit of overtime for this one. But it looks like 500 is winning out. So 500 it is then. Oh no! Ooh. There we go. Now at 500. Oh no, they dialed it down to 300. Okay. I mean, the time is up anyway. That was the tempo troll. Next time I'm gonna figure out how to make this tempo trolling a little bit easy on my side. So the tempo trolling is actually like immediately effective. But this was actually quite listenable, even though we went all the way down to 30 and all the way up to 500. Big round of applause to our two jammers, to mlilley and dorolfe. This concludes our third game for tonight. Back to the studio for a second. Okay, that concludes our third game, the tempo troll. You've been some very mean tempo trolls there. So the last game after a short break is gonna be Rifff recipe, and I'm in this break gonna go into the ingredients jam on the join-in page and gonna pick a sample or two from that jam so they have a nice recipe to work with and some nice sounds. So see you in a few minutes. Don't go away. Don't go anywhere. All right, we're back with the last game. Sorry for that long break. We had a hard time choosing the right sample, and by we I mean me. So we're gonna jump right into that last game, and this one is called Rifff recipe. Let's see what we have to deal with this time around. So our two jammers today are gonna cook a nice hearty digisect soup, and digisect soup is made up of several different ingredients, and we're gonna start off with the ingredient that is presented or contributed by our community, and it sounds like this. Now I'm gonna check after the game who provided this one. In the heat of the moment I didn't check the name on there, but I will give you credit. That's a good sound right there. It was part of a longer loop. So let's reveal the full recipe. What is digisect soup made up of? So they're only allowed to use the following. This sample you're hearing right now. And then a foundation of arid. They can use the arid drum set. A dash of digisect. A teaspoon of cortado. Several layers of hot, so as many as they want. 2 samples of slew. There must be 2 different samples of slew in there. They're gonna cook this all at 135 BPM, and they can season with effects as desired. They can use all the effects, but they can only use these sounds and the sample. And I'll leave the ingredient list up there on screen. I'm gonna put time on screen on the screen. I think it's 10 minutes. Yes, we got 10 minutes, and here we go. 3, 2, 1. Cook that meal. So right now we're listening to dorolfe, who Skype decided to crop differently every few seconds. So again, they are only allowed to use these specific sounds. And bonus points if the sample that you're hearing right now, the community sample, is still recognizable in the end. But it's not a must. They can use effects. You can screw it all up. So right now we're listening to dorolfe's feed. But let's actually check in with mlilley, where he's going with it. It's going a more noisy and ambient route so far. That's right, Stoic. It is kind of based on the conditional jam. There's also a fifth game that we didn't play today, which we're gonna rotate around. Ooh, deep kick. Which is kind of based on Take 5. Mixed with speed chess. Okay, let's check back with dorolfe. I think we're gonna hear that cheek pop a lot in the next 8.5 minutes. Now obviously they are allowed in the middle to take out layers again, as long as they only use the layers on the recipe. And they don't have to settle on anything they got right now. Let's check back in with mlilley. Go in halftime with arid. Sounds like we got some comb filtering in there. And back to dorolfe. This is one of the games I was really looking forward to, because here we really got the individual styles within certain constraints, and also showing the variety of sound you can get out of Endless. Even with this limitation, with these sounds they have to use. mlilley's cooking. Let's see what he's cooking. Oh, let's hear. Ooh. We're back in the IDM kitchen. Pastry chef makes some sweet cheek pop noises. Back to dorolfe. Let's actually check. There's some gate happening here. Gate already on 2 layers. Something new coming in. Another gate. But yeah, this is what digisect can sound like. Let me isolate that layer. Gated digisect. Nice sub. Let's check back in with mlilley. Let's isolate the arid drums. Oh, he already riffed again, merging them together. He hasn't touched the community sample yet. It's still in its original form. So that jumping kind of bassy sound, that's actually a drum sound from arid, probably one of the toms. Cortado coming in now. dorolfe is also using cortado by now. Let's check in with him. Dialed it up even higher. He's doubled up the cheek pop. Still going in hot with the gate. By now, mlilley has key meshed his cortado. Let's check in on what this sounds like. Took it down an octave. And reversed it. See that dorolfe has used some degrader, probably on his digisect. Let's see what that sounds like. No, it's actually on the cortado. Now switch to the key masher. mlilley, laser focused. Oh, he's just added a digisect. Let me dial it up for you. It's very sparse. Oh, there it is. Don't blame the bad mix on mlilley, that was me. Back to dorolfe, who's now played around with slew a little bit. Got a nice shimmery sample here. This is what's cooking in Florida. Ooh. Interesting. I don't think I've ever used that sound from slew. Let's check in with mlilley, who's going even wonkier. Every time we switched him, it's going crazy. Back to dorolfe. I wouldn't be able to say which one of these two is healthier or has more calories. One minute and 30 seconds remaining. Are they gonna touch the cheek pop sample and remix it in any fashion? Are they gonna leave it vanilla? Still got 1 minute and 15 seconds to decide. Check in with mlilley. Added more pitch mod to his cortado. Ooh. Back to dorolfe. We don't have a lot of time left. Dorolfe pretty much built his whole rhythm around the cheek pop. So he doesn't really have to massage it in too much. Sounds like dorolfe has resampled the cheek pop. Made it into an even smaller cheek pop. Let's go back to mlilley. Ooh, he's added even more. Back to dorolfe for the last few seconds. 3, 2, 1. And that's it. That's our recipe. Let's put this dish on the table and taste it. So right now we're listening to dorolfe's version of this riff. You can definitely still hear the cheek pop. He worked that in, or rather he built his whole rhythm around it. It's sounding very menacing and dancey. And then we move over to mlilley, who decided, you know what, this is 135 ppm, but I want to go half time. And this sounds like we're walking through a room of wet balloons and popping them. Really, really wonky. I feel like I'm on some kind of ship that's about to topple over. Once more dorolfe's jam. Percolating, yes. And mlilley's rendition of this recipe. As you can see, 2 digisect soups that couldn't taste more differently, all based on the same ingredients. And I'm now switching back to dorolfe real quickly. I'm now gonna check and credit whoever gave us this nice cheek pop sample. Let's see if I can still find the person. So I believe it was, if I find this correct, I believe it was Jimmy Sandwiches, who I think is also in chat. That was amazing. I'm gonna leave the dorolfe one going because it's not as wonky and will not hinder me in my concentration for the outro. But thank you so much for playing. I'm gonna switch back to the studio. If you want to wave to the audience, this is your time to wave to the audience. Big round of applause for mlilley in London and dorolfe in Florida, cooking us a nice soup right there, digisect soup. And my camera is off. And my camera is off because actually the battery is empty. Well, that sort of happened. So let me actually just do the following. I'm gonna go real crazy here. I'm just gonna switch to Toinkos cam and you know, we're doing this gorilla style. Hey, so that was our Whose Riff Is It Anyway jam, our stream for tonight. Thank you all for joining. Thank you for tuning in. Tomorrow we're gonna have Waldorf and the Skulls playing gigs, 1 hour each in the evening around the same time as this jam. But I'm gonna leave it at that because this is like a really awkward angle and I don't want to do the whole outro like this. So thank you all so much for tuning in. This is our new show every Friday, and soon we're gonna switch to Saturdays though. Every Friday this is gonna be Whose Riff Is It Anyway? New games are coming. Thank you for joining and see you next time.